Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
Happy Tuesday, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Lock Shop. Nielsen and Hustler, brought to you, as always, by our friends at Coolbet. Sign up for an account today at coolbet.com. Use the bonus code LOCKSHOP. You get a 100% deposit bonus on your initial deposit up to $200. So if you've not yet signed up for an account, do it today at coolbet.com. I think Chris Abbott still works there, but after hitting the 26,000 in Vegas over the weekend, he might be taking some time off, Huss, eh?
Well, you know what? Listen, I'm just concerned for his personal safety because he's angered all the analytics wonks out there right now, and they're coming at him hard on social media for his tweets earlier today. You've run in those streets before, Dusty. That's that is a group that has a lot of passion for their takes and their side of the argument. And our poor pal Chris is taking it today.
I figure for my own mental health, I established a couple years ago now that I stay out of those waters, Huss. That's it's the last thing I need. I kind of just go about my business, doing streams and podcasts, and stay out of the analytics discussion. So Chris is learning his lesson today too, and eventually he'll know to avoid it.
Yes, but that being said, we will give him a big cheers. I'm just happy that he was able to recover because he had that massive win on the tables in Vegas, hit some bonus, straight flush,
progressive.
I don't know, it's like 100 or 500 to 1, whatever. Yeah, so he caught a big thing, but then he was shown with one of those long 6-foot bone drinks around his neck, which probably, I don't know, by my estimation, has about 35 ounces of booze in it. So I was just wondering if he was going to end up at the Las Vegas General Hospital getting his stomach pumped later on from drinking the booziest Slurpee of all time. But hey, he spends enough time in Vegas. It was about time he banged off a big one. So congratulations to our pal Coolbet Chris.
And we'll have him later in the week. But first thing I thought when I saw him with that huge drink hanging around his neck, all I could think of was, I remember my first time in Vegas. You know what I mean? Like, you go to Vegas the first time, you're like, ooh, I got to have one of these big drinks. Abbott's literally been there 5 times in the last 6 months, and he's still rolling around with one of those. I love it. That's great.
I think he probably always said, if I ever hit the progressive on one of these tables, I'm getting one of those massive $120 drinks, and I'm going to put it around my neck, and I'm just going to stunt around Vegas, being the happiest guy in Nevada after
Good for him. Good for him. Exact opposite. Well, I mean, my weekend was interesting. Burger, my goodness. What was it? Was it a 75 or 74 on Sunday? The guy was in a glorious spot. We had him at 16-1, and I'm kind of following along. My boy had hockey on Sunday, and then we had a funeral. And by the time I finally got back to look, I'm looking, and I look at the top. I'm like, where's Burger? Scroll down. I'm like, are you kidding me? How does this guy fire off? What was it? 65, 69, 74, 75 or something? That was extremely disappointing. And I guess I jinxed us on Friday when I was like, Burger's doing really well. And you said, wait, Dusty, we'll see. But then he also had a decent Saturday. Like, he was in the driver's seat, man.
Like, he went into Sunday with a 5-shot lead. I mean,
how?
I saw a couple dudes like laying big bets on him at like minus 370 to win the tournament going in. I mean, just that's a bridge jumper right there, I think. Listen, it was a disaster for Burger. I mean, I think he tripled or doubled the par 5 fourth and then followed that up with a couple bogeys after that. And I mean, that's such a monster course that you can start going backwards very quickly. And, he didn't have a great Sunday. Shane Lowry was on, and Sepp Strack, I think he was in at about 125, 130 to 1. Had never won a PGA Tour event before. Had him on a few DraftKings cards in the past, but anyways, it was a wild win. We've seen some first-time winners before on tour, but it really did seem like that was Daniel Berger's tournament, and it was his tournament to lose, and he lost it. Another tragic Sunday for the Lock Shop. The torment that we have had from the PGA Tour on Sundays with guys being right there and then blowing it has been really tough. As I say, think of the top 5s. If you like our picks, maybe split it between an outright and a top 5 because we've been nailing these top 5s. We've
been able to do that on a regular basis, right? Arnold Palmer Invitational. We'll get to that a little bit later on. As for the rest of my weekend, I I hit the Oilers in regulation Saturday, which was nice. They were a plus money, pretty big plus money in rate, plus 255 in regulation against Florida. I hit that one. And then you know what else I hit on Saturday? I very rarely do this, but I was making that bet on Saturday for the Oilers, and I looked at the old grand salami, but in the NHL, home goals versus road goals. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get on the road goals. Like, I looked at the road teams. I was like, if this goes as planned, road teams should have more goals. And of course, we got that 10-7 game in that Toronto-Detroit game. And I ended up hitting the road goals. So that was, I'm sure I've done it before, but I haven't done it yet this season. And I was just like, road goals. It was like minus 115 for the road goals. And that one hit. Then Sunday, I got screwed in that Carolina. I needed Carolina to literally win the game 3-1, and they had 2 minutes of an empty net and couldn't score, and ended up winning 2-1 against the Oilers, which kind of stung a little bit. But overall, I mean, I'm up on the weekend, but that burger one really pissed me off. How was your weekend?
You know what? It was actually pretty good. We're just sort of back and forth over the course of the of Friday and Saturday, but Sunday was able to hit. I've started to live bet totals. Like overs sort of 5 minutes into the game where the number, you got a bit of an idea like, okay, you know what, this is a game that there's some scoring chances, but the number is still, well, frankly, it's growing up. Like I had the over in the Canucks Rangers game was over 6.5. That one came through. That was a later bet. That was a plus 141. Over 5.5 in the Sabres Stars game, which was a plus 122. So I had a little bit of success with that. And then last night, I did not get in on the early games, but I hit the Bruins puck line at plus 205 against the Kings. So yeah, you know what? There's been some nice plus money wins going in, and got a couple picks. Actually, I really like the board tonight. I'm feeling quite excited to drop the puck tonight because I got a couple picks that I've gone a little heavier than normal because it's a borderline stone cold lock of the century of the week.
Holy smokes, a lock of the century of the week. Well, let's not delay any further. Let's get to our NHL plays tonight, Tuesday night in the National Hockey League. We've each got 3. We're on that Calgary Wild game in a couple of different ways. But Huss, what's this century lock of the week or whatever you just said?
All right. I am so in on the Blue Jackets tonight at home against the New Jersey Devils. And if there's one thing that we've seen, especially lately with how much hockey many of these teams have been playing and the road trips that they've been going on, is that these back-to-back games have really put in, it's been situational for a lot of teams that, to be honest, have, sunk in the second games, even after they've won, and made people think they were good. Vancouver's a perfect example. Vancouver had a great game on Sunday night in New York against the Rangers, a team far better than New Jersey. And then what did they do? They came out last night and got absolutely trounced by the Devils. Now it's the Devils' turn to play on the second end of back-to-back nights. And they're doing it against the Columbus Blue Jackets, who, led by Patrick Laine, have been playing some great hockey. They've got Elvis Merzlikins back right now. And it seems like even though they really are playing for next year, this team has some momentum. Listen, they got smoked by the Panthers last week, but other than that, they've been putting up some big wins. Win in Florida amongst many. And Patrick Laine continues to be one of the hottest players in the league. So with New Jersey coming to Columbus on the second end of back-to-back nights, I am loving the money line. I'm putting that in on my parlay today. And I've also hammered the puck line at plus 165 on minus 1.5. So, every now and then there's teams that you think that are trending in a real good direction. And the bottom line is the Devils are playing for nothing right now. I think they'll be feeling pretty good about their win last night. I don't think they continue it in. So I've upped the ante a little bit for a regular Tuesday night wager with this Jackets. And as I said, I'm also in on the puck line for it. And if things go well, good things happen in threes. How about the puck line? How about the money line? And how about a goal for our guy Patrick Laine to officially cash the over bets for the entire season? So many lock shoppers and Winnipeg Sports Talk guys got in on that when we were doing our futures for the season. So I haven't felt as good. Now, this is, of course, the curse. So beware, folks, while I say this to you. I have not felt this good about a game and a spot in a long time. So maybe you should fade me. All I know is that we're pushing the chips in on the Blue Jackets tonight at home on the money line and on the puck line, and we're putting them in on the parlay.
I just want to give you a quick update. I just looked right now. Money line right now, Jackets are minus 118 You had them last night at minus 139. They're at minus 118 right now, buddy.
What's the puck line right now?
Puck line right now is plus 200, minus 1.5.
Holy smokes. Well, I may need to double down again on this because it's even a better number right now. So there you go. Now, listen, I'm not sure. Maybe something's come out of the morning skate again. We sort of have to get these picks done in the night before. So potentially maybe, well, if you told me Laine was going to be out or they're starting a goalie that's never played before, it'd be interesting. Bottom line is, listen, I mean, why should we feel good about New Jersey playing anyone on the second end of back-to-back nights traveling over the course of the evening? I don't know. Listen, I'm still feeling quite good, although maybe it's a cautionary tale to cool it a little bit as we see. But as I said,
Brazilkins is confirmed as the starter, buddy. So you got the guy between the pipes too. So
I love Elvis. So anyways, as I said, you know what? Good news, people. If you like the pick, you're going to get an even better number on it right now. There's been some big movement on that. Maybe everyone's just so all in on the Devils after their big 7-goal outburst against the Canucks last night. Not me. So anyways, love the Jackets tonight. Next game is the Wild money line at home against the Flames. The Wild got embarrassed by Calgary on Saturday night. They gave up 7. I've been, following some of the Minnesota media, and the Wild are very excited to redeem themselves in this game tonight. Listen, I think Calgary's been unbelievable lately. I mean, they've been one of the top teams in the league. They had that huge winning streak, which was finally broken by the Canucks last week. But they continue to play with some of the best teams in the league. But I'll tell you what, the Minnesota Wild are a team that when they're on top of their game, they can play with the Calgary Flames. It's going to be a very physical game. Calgary's going to need to pay the price. And I just think the Wild are going to rise to the occasion at home. This is a very good team, and get plus money at home as a money line underdog. I love the spot for the Wild right now. So I do think there's a big bounce back game for Minnesota against the Flames. And then this is an interesting one. Jets-Habs tonight, downtown Winnipeg. Dusty, this is the first meeting between Montreal and Winnipeg since last year's playoffs. And of course, the first time Montreal has seen Mark Scheifele since he eviscerated Jake Evans and got himself suspended for the rest of the series. I'm not sure. I'm interested in your take. I mean, you know the Habs. They're such a different team. Half the team's turned over. They've got a new head coach. There's a new head coach here in Winnipeg. I'm very interested to see whether this is even an issue or whether we have a code alert and Mark Scheifele's got to answer for what happened. What was it, 6-7 months ago? So listen, I have such a bad feel for the Jets just quickly as far as the pick goes. I'm not going to pick them to win the game or puck line or anything like that. They've been far too disappointing against lesser lights, especially in early week games. But I will tell you, tonight in Winnipeg, pay attention to this game. The anthems, Hoosley, the Ukrainian men's choir here in Winnipeg, who does the greatest anthem for my money in the entire league, will be doing the Canadian and Ukrainian anthems tonight. It's going to be a very powerful moment. So you'll hope the Jets can get some energy from that. That being said, I like a bounce back game for Connor Hellebuck in this game. I'm taking under 6 at minus 118. So I do have a parlay with the Jackets, Wild money lines, and the under in the Jets Habs. That was plus 554. Considering what's happened in the Devils Jackets line, that's probably up more than 6-1. But yeah, I'm not going to take a side in that one, taking the total, going under 6 in the Jets Habs game.
It just really sucked me in on this Blue Jackets here. I've been kind of looking around that page today. Blue Jackets, I love my regulation bets. Blue Jackets in regulation, plus 134 tonight. So I think that might be where I sort of settle in. That plus 134 is a good number. I can't not get in on the lock of the century of the week. I can't not get in on it. So I'm sucked in on that one. Okay, I got a couple places I'm going. I just think the number's really nice here. Carolina in regulation, minus 119 at the Wings. Now, this is a matchup that has already screwed me once this year earlier. I'm pretty sure in October, I was like, Hurricanes over the Wings in regulation, Hurricanes over the Wings in regulation, and the Wings got them. So, I mean, does that happen to me twice in the same season? Do the Wings screw me over twice against a very good Carolina Hurricanes team? I highly doubt it. So I'm going to go Hurricanes in regulation tonight. I didn't parlay this together. I'm going to be a really good number, though, with some of the numbers that we got here. I've got Canes in regulation minus 119. The Oilers in regulation are playing plus 102 tonight against the Philadelphia Flyers. Flyers had lost a bunch in a row, did get that win, kind of a tight win against Washington Capitals. Washington seems a little off as of late. But the Oilers, they're on game 4 of a 5-game road trip, but they've played. It's been an interesting trip so far. I thought they played better than Tampa last Wednesday. Should have won that game. Mike Smith was brutal. Then they go into Florida, and Florida's obviously a team that can can exchange chances. And Derek Ryan has the hat trick, but Mikko Koskinen was brilliant in that game. Maybe the most confidence I've ever seen Mikko Koskinen play with. He might have had better games, but he just looked like he was in a zone, which we've not said very often over 3.5 years. And then I thought they played really well against Carolina with no Nugent Hopkins, no Yamamoto, no Puljujarvi. McDavid missed like 15 minutes of the first after taking that stick to the face. And in the end, they were still just down 2-1 late, trying to push, took over in the second period of that game against a really good Carolina team. So I know they've only got 2 of a possible 6 points in this trip so far, but I think they've actually played pretty well. If they play like that again tonight, and it looks like Duncan Keith might be coming back, and I know, the whole Duncan Keith acquiring him and everything, he's been pretty steady. Like, he's been pretty steady when he's been in. Koskinen's going to get the start tonight. Can he ride that momentum? If he does, I think the Oilers are in a really good spot here. So, and I don't know much about the Flyers, but I think the Oilers have played well enough on this trip that I don't mind them in regulation tonight at plus money either, Huss. So,
I'll tell you a little something about the Flyers. They're 16, 26, and 10 on the season. They've won 16 times in 52 games. They've had a 10-game losing streak and a 12-game losing streak. They fired a coach. They're going to trade their captain. They are on to next season. Tee times are booked right now for Philly. So I do like this spot for Edmonton, and I'm with you. I mean, I've watched quite a bit of this road trip so far. And listen, I know they've just got the 1 win, but I mean, this is maybe as tough of a road trip as there is right now in the National Hockey League. And you know what? They've looked pretty good. They're moving down a couple weight classes. I mean, after the last 3 games that they've had. So I think that they're trending in a good direction, and I would not be at all afraid to pull the trigger on the Oilers tonight. And funny enough, puck line right now plus 159. To me, I think this could be this might be a good night to stack some of the big boys on the Oilers.
The Draisaitl McDavid night. That's what I'm kind of thinking too. I said on my show this morning, I said I like Draisaitl for a couple of points tonight. Flyers penalty kill sucks. Oilers power play, they can be deadly, but they're trying to get it going as of late. So I love the Oilers plus 102 in regulation. Huss mentioned the puck line there as well as a really nice number. And then I'm going to go to the over in that Flames Wild game where they just put up 10 the last time they met. Minnesota has had a steady diet of overs. I had it up in front of me. I might have lost that. They had an under 2 games ago, but outside of that, I mean, they've just been scoring in bunches. Calgary certainly offensively has been pretty impressive as well. Calgary has 6 overs in their last 8. And Minnesota has 6 overs in their last 7. And when they just went head-to-head, Calgary picked up the 7-3 victory. So I don't think all of a sudden we're going to see a 2-1, 3-1 hockey game. I think both these teams are going to score goals once again. So I will take the over 6.5. You know what? Just quickly, as we talk about this total here, I had Wyshynski on my show Monday, and he does some writing, sports wagering stuff for ESPN. And he wrote an article about how things might be trending back towards the under in the National Hockey League. And Huss, it seemed like up to maybe kind of the beginning of last year, definitely pre-pandemic, 5.5s everywhere. Like the total was always just 5.5. And now, I mean, if I see a 5.5 anywhere, I'm stunned by it. And I'm usually trying to get on the overside of that. You see a lot of the odds being locked in here at 6.5 the rest of the way this season, or do you think we kind of trend back as it gets tighter down the stretch to seeing more 5.5s again, like it was forever? For years, it was just 5.5s.
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting. Let's look. We got a busy slate of games tonight, and of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games. The total is at 6.5 in 4 of them, and is 6 in 5 of them. So, I mean, I think we now are we've got to that point, between 6 and 6.5, and the 5s are a rarity. And again, that was one of those games when I jumped on the Dallas Buffalo game. It just sort of popped out. Oh, we got a 5.5 on the board. wow, let's jump on it, because there really has been quite a bit of scoring. I'll say this to Wish's take. We do end up seeing, things naturally kind of come back to the mean at some point. And there's no doubt people have been hitting overs for the last number of months. And, obviously the bookies have adjusted the lines for that. And, at a certain point, the pivot the other way could certainly be something that could make some people some money. But I think it's more important to kind of see where the individual teams are trending, because at some point teams are just scoring like crazy. And then other times, and the Jets were this way when they were struggling on that road trip, had a tough time putting up one or two each and every night. So, both team totals and game totals have been inflated so far this year. So I'm here for the argument that there might be some value, at least on unders, as we get closer to the playoffs.
All right, there you go. 6 plays in the National Hockey League tonight. Huss loves the Blue Jackets. He's got a money line minus 139. If you want to get in on the puck line, it's minus 1.5 at plus 165. Flames at Wild money line plus 106. And then the under 6 in the Jets-Habs game. I'm on the Oilers in regulation plus 102. The Canes in regulation on the road to Detroit minus 119. And then I'm on the over again in the Flames Wild game. Let's slide over to golf, where I just tweeted out, we've been all around this. We have had contenders every Sunday, every event so far, robbed a couple of times, had guys choke, had other guys come back and come up just short. Maybe this is our week. Maybe the Arnold Palmer Invitational is the one where we finally get it done, Huss. 3 plays each again this week. No crossover here. I'm back on Keith Mitchell again, man. I'm on Keith Mitchell until he gets one, so I can say I got Keith Mitchell. I can't go away from him and then come back around to it. So lay it out for me, and then I'll make the case for Keith Mitchell yet again.
Well, you know what? The Arnold Palmer Invitational, when you look at, let's just pull this sucker up. We've seen, a number of players get, big wins here. And we've seen some of the top players win in the past. We've also seen some guys sort of come out of the blue. Who could forget Matt Every not winning not once, but defending his title in 2014 and 15. And a number of great international players. Bryson DeChambeau winning last year was the first U.S. winner since 2015. But listen, this is a tournament that I think has always attracted a pretty great field because of the respect for Arnold Palmer. But it's an interesting board this week, especially with the development from yesterday or the day before that Bryson DeChambeau, the defending champ, is still injured and cannot play. He's hoping to tee it up for the players, but he's not going to be there, which certainly makes it a little bit more wide open. Now, listen, I think John Rahm at 9-1, to be honest, I don't normally bet guys that low. That number for golf tournaments, it's just so hard to win. I would make an argument that I think as far as 9-1 golf bets go, Rahm might be a good one to get in on. But we're going to go down the list. I'm going to start off with Hideki. Just celebrated his 30th birthday. He's had a monster year so far. And he is a guy, Dusty, that when he is dialed in, as we've seen so far this year, going really all the way back to his big Masters win, that he can play literally with anybody right now. And listen, he's the 5th guy on the board behind Rahm, Rory, Vic Hovland, and Scotty Scheffler. And to be honest, I think that the 25-1 is great value because I really think that he should be right there in that group with those individuals. So when I saw a 25 hung on Hideki, I jumped at it. But the other guy that I'm going back to is Will Zalatoris. Now, Zalatoris should already have a PGA Tour win. We all remember what happened about, was it 3 weeks or a month ago? Well, was there, didn't sink the putt on 18, ended up losing in a playoff, and that started this string of bridesmaids that we've had on the Lock Shop for the past month. But I really do think that he is just right there. And what a great place to get your first win in a tournament hosted by Arnold Palmer. He's been contending pretty much every time that he's been in the field. And I think at 29-1, listen, I would have thought that this number might have been a little bit higher, to be honest. But the fact that Bryson's out of the tournament, I think, knocked a few guys down a little bit. And certainly, I think Zalatoris will probably be a popular pick. I think there's a lot of people feeling like me that he is just on the cusp of becoming a PGA Tour winner. And then my long shot for the week is Jason Day. And listen, this is sort of a situational spot. Day's actually had, a few good tournaments. I mean, we had him with Zalatoris, I believe, in that tournament a few weeks ago where he was right there into the back nine on Sunday. But the other thing is that this is right close to home for him. He calls Columbus home. So in some ways, I know the guy's an Aussie, but this will be close to home course advantage for him. And let's face it, Jay Day's a guy that has some good memories of this. He's former winner of the event back in 2016. So if you're going to hang a 69-1, a nice number like that on Jason Day, I'm going to jump on it. A smaller sprinkle on a long shot of Jay Day to win the API for the second time close to home. But the two guys I'm really focusing in on this weekend, Hideki and Willie Z.
And I've got Rory at the top at 13-1, then a couple of plus 4,400s that I'll get to. Look, Rory at Bay Hill, he's been pretty darn solid so far. 7 for 7, won the event in 2018, and has 5 straight top 10s. Literally always in contention. And so far in 2022, he's actually been pretty good. T12, solo third, T10 in 2022 so far. So form's there, course history's there. You're getting with 13-1, so you're getting a little bit more than what you're getting with John Rahm. I don't mind your idea of Rahm even at 9-1 if you're ever going to go 9-1. Maybe John Rahm this week's the guy. But I'm going to start with Rory, one of the top end guys at 13-1, and then we'll go down to the two guys I've got at plus 4,400. I told you earlier, I was walking out of the radio station today, and as I'm walking out, I'm walking towards my car, and I'm just like, yep, I'm on Keith Mitchell again. Like, I just made the decision at that point. I was just like, I'm not going away from Keith Mitchell. And because everything just is trending towards a victory here. I mean, he's been very good so far this year. In just his last 6 starts, 3 top 10s and a pair of T12s. So this guy in his last 6 starts, 5 of them he's been 12th or better, which is a heck of a run. At Bay Hill, T6 in 2019, T5 in 2020. So he's played well here. He's playing maybe the best he's ever played so far this season. It seems whether he starts slow or not, he kind of always finds his way to be in the mix here so far in 2022. So I'm going to go with Keith Mitchell at 44-1. I thought maybe he'd be more in the 34-ish, the Adam Scott range, but I'll take Mitchell at 44-1, and then I'm going to also go with Jason Kokrak as well. He's been good here. 7 for 8 at Bay Hill, 4 top 10s, and 6 top 20s. So, I mean, basically when he plays here, he's a top 20 guy. And if you can give me a top 20 guy every single time and say, hey, he's going to be in the top 20, but you're going to get him at 44-1 to maybe win it all, then I'm going to hop on that as well. So I really like the numbers at plus 4,400 for both of those guys. And when I look at the top end guys, I just think Rory, when you combine course history with how he's looked so far this year, I think he's due for a win this year with the way he's played. So I'm going to get on Rory at 13-1. And will one of Mitchell, Kokrak, McIlroy, Day, Zalatoris, and Matsuyama finally get us in the win column? If not, I'd say 3 or 4 of these guys are going to be top 10. So you might as well get some top 10 plays.
Yeah, you know what? Well, exactly. And just speaking of Killer Keith, man, 9th at the Honda, 10th at Waste Management, 12th at Pebble Beach. He did miss the cut at the Farmers, but was 7th at the Sony Open and 12th at the RSM Classic dating back to last year. He has basically, with the exception of the Farmers, contended in every single tournament that he has been in. So I kind of like that value, a real good value number with the 44-1. And Kokrak is a guy that is able to pop. I mean, you might not see him for a couple weeks, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, there's Jason Kokrak. So I think at the 44-1 numbers, you gotta like it. And as I said, considering our predisposition for narrowly missing, we might have to get on some top 5s. And what's Mitchell top 10 right now?
I just looked at it. I was just going to say top 20 is an automatic. He's plus 160 to finish top 10 or top 20 and plus 350 to finish top 10. So
don't mind that. Do not mind that number at all. And, I'm looking at just some of the top 5 numbers for these guys. Hideki's plus 450. Will Zalatoris plus 550 for top 5s. Hideki top 10 plus 235 and Zalatoris plus 260, which are still pretty nice numbers. I mean, not quite the big, hitting it at 25 or 29, but there still is some.
It's still there's good value there in these top 10s and top 5s, right?
and and Jason Day for that matter. A 5-1 on the top 10 and 10-1 on a top 5. I think I'll probably just swing for the fences on the outright with Day, but we'll consider a little sprinkle to maybe hedge it a little bit, because I do like these spots for these guys. But as I said, a little gun shy after so many bridesmaid episodes over the last month on the Lock Shop.
This is it. The API winner this week, buddy. We're getting one. I'm feeling it. It's going to be, we're due. We've been so close so many times. Like, we haven't had a week where none of our guys were in contention. Like, one of us has always been flirting with it. And, hey, what did it say? Current form. Our current form has been good. We just got to finish. That's going to happen this week. Winnipeg Sports Talk. Huss, what do you got coming up today, buddy?
Probably a complete shit show, to be honest with you. We're already, I don't know. Listen, it's the Habs Jets tonight, and first game since the playoffs, so there's lots of talk about Mark Scheifele. There's all sorts of crazy talk in and around this hockey club, but my good friend Mo Khan's going to join me from Montreal. We'll find out a little bit more about this Habs team under Marty St. Louis. They've won 5 in a row coming in. Speaking of some underdogs winning at plus money, Habs have been making some money, people, if anyone had the stones to actually back them over these last couple of weeks. And then Scott Billick from the Sun's going to come on with us, and we'll hit all the important Jets topics going into tonight's game. But I will say this, folks, if you're out, whether you're in Winnipeg or elsewhere, if you have the opportunity, tune in. Even if you don't give a damn about the actual hockey game, check out the anthems. I wouldn't be surprised if this performance goes viral, to be honest. I imagine it will be everywhere on the internet tonight. But the Who's the Ukrainian Men's Choir, just an absolutely incredible group that's entertained Winnipeg fans before, will be doing both Canada and the Ukrainian national anthem tonight. And that is going to be a major moment at such a concerning time, I think, for the world right now that everyone's dealing with. And of course, I mean, you're in Edmonton, Winnipeg and Edmonton, two of the biggest Ukrainian communities, frankly.
Yeah, big following here.
So, I mean, this is something that, is really hitting close to home for a lot of people in our respective communities. And I'd love it if this wasn't an issue, but obviously it is raging right now. So this will be a very powerful, I think, show of support for our Ukrainian friends tonight at the arena.
We'll be watching for sure, and we'll be popping into Winnipeg Sports Talk today as well. If you're not yet subscribed, find it Winnipeg Sports Talk on all your podcasting platforms while you're there. If you've not yet subbed the Lock Shop, do that as well. It's brought to you by CoolBet. We'll catch up with Chris Abbott. He'll be by a little bit later on in the week. We'll find out how Vegas was to him once again, and I'll give you an update on the golf, and then we'll have a lot of hockey and some other things for the weekend as well. For Hustler, I'm Nielsen, and we will catch up to you on Friday. Good luck between now and then. Thanks a lot for checking out the Lock Shop.